Add new analysis indicators. Firstly, I would like to state that there are two common ways to add new analysis indicators. The first is through data editing, where we can use the prepackaged functions in the top row. The second way is during the component editing process, where we can add calculation fields. These two methods are commonly used to add new analysis indicators. It is important to note a common mistake that beginners often make. When adding analysis indicators in data editing, the use of aggregation functions is prohibited. If you're curious about the reasons behind this, you can refer to the advanced section on FineBI functions, where we explain this in more detail. But for today, let's stick to the main topic and discuss how to use these prepackaged functions in data editing. The first method is to add a formula column. This is very similar to writing formulas in Excel and is the most commonly used method for adding fields. The process is simple. You write the formula, click Confirm, and a new field is generated. The second method is to add a summary column. This is similar to grouping and summarizing or creating pivot tables in Excel. However, the difference is that it does not disrupt the original table structure. For example, if we calculate the average Chinese score for each class, our grouping field would be the class, and the summary field would be the Chinese score. We choose the average as the summary method. You will notice that the result shows an average score of 95 for each row corresponding to the class. If we were to use grouping and summarizing or pivot tables in Excel, the result would show two rows, one for class 1 and one for class 2, each with an average score. In this case, the original structure, e.g., names, would be lost. This is the key difference. The third method is to add an assignment column. This function is easy to understand, as it involves writing an if condition. For example, if we want to assign grades based on Chinese scores, we can use the score as the basis for grouping, then customize the assignment. If the score is greater than or equal to 90, it will be marked as excellent. If it's between 70 and 90, it will be good. If it's between 60 and 70, it will be pass, and below 60, it will be fail. The final result will display these labels. Some may ask, what if my if conditions are more complex in real business scenarios? In such cases, we recommend using the conditional label column, which is essentially a nested if function. In this case, you can set more specific conditions. For example, aside from the score condition, you can also set the condition that all subjects must be attended. If a student has missed an exam, that can be marked as a failed condition. You can include more complex conditions, such as and/or statements, depending on your needs. This way, we can get the grade results accordingly. Next, we discuss two functions related to time fields, time interval and get time. While you can use a formula column with functions to perform these operations, we will focus on the prepackaged functions for today, as they are faster. The first function is time interval, which allows us to quickly calculate the interval between two time fields and select the unit. For instance, in an online exam, a student has an entry time and a submission time. We can calculate the time spent by subtracting the entry time from the submission time, choosing minutes as the unit. The result will show the time taken for the exam, such as 3 minutes. This can be useful for analysis, as we may find that a short time could indicate problems, like the student not taking the exam seriously. The second function is get time, which allows us to extract a specific time point from a time field. For example, if we want to extract the hour from an exam start time, the result will show the hour in a numerical format. A start time of 4:40 p.m. will return 16, and a start time of 5:40 p.m. will return 17. It's important to note that the output is a numerical type, so depending on your analysis, you may need to convert it to text if necessary. A common mistake that beginners make is using this function in simple scenarios where it is not needed. For example, if you have a sales detail table and you want to summarize sales by month, you do not need to extract the month. You can directly group the time field by month or year directly when creating the table component. To summarize, we have 4 main methods for adding analysis indicators. Firstly, adding a formula column for calculated results. Secondly, adding a summary column for aggregated values, such as average, sum, or maximum. Thirdly, adding a conditional label column for if conditions or more complex nested conditions. Finally, handling time fields with time interval and get time. We recommend using the conditional label column for complex conditions.